How you guys doing? Uh, Let me check sound and video. Okay, like a really bright morning, and my window is coming off the east, and so I got this bright sunlight, and I was trying to arrange it so that I wouldn't go blind. Hi, John. Hi, Brian. Everything working good? Thank you. That's good to hear. Uh, Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Hey, neighbor, how you doing? So anyway, um, let me tell you what I thought would be an interesting topic, and one that is I sort of sort of keep running around. Hi, EP, how you doing? Caesar, good to see you, man. South Padre, Tony. Hey, Tony, Goldfinger. Oh boy. Yeah, I finally God, I guess it's almost been over a week now since we got back from our trip to Geneva and the Grand Prix, and had a ball, uh, and sort of that is finished. Moving ahead. Hi, Tuna. Anyway, guys, this is what I was thinking about, and I guess it's advice to ourselves as well as anyone else. Hi, Jose. Um, and that is building a collection. Uh, what I had done. Let me see if I can bring it up to show you the. Oops, what do I do with it? Ah, here we are. Um, what I what I wanted to do was to sort of like, what would be a good way to collect watches? Hi, HRM, John. Um, JC, good evening for wherever you are. It's late, so here it is in the morning, and I know in China it's exactly 12 hours difference. So if it's 8 a.m. here, it's 8 p.m. there. Before building a collection, you got to figure out what you actually like about watches, movement, preferences, thickness, and so forth. Yeah, I agree with that, but I also know that at some point when you're building a collection, you don't always know what you like until you sort of run across it, and you find yourself sort of more, especially when your collection grows, you find yourself, am I wearing just certain of these watches more and more? Are they my better ones? Or are they just sort of some funky watch I got for a good deal? I don't know. Hey, Watch Monkey. Hey, Felix. When I build my collection, I want building a collection is just evolved into that. Yeah. Oh, and Tokyo. Used to live outside of Tokyo. I didn't go with a plan to buy 50 watches. But yeah, I think a lot of times that happens. Let me see if this will work. I'm gonna hang on a second. Let me see if I can do this so that the only part we have to look at. I guess we could do it this way. Okay. Anyway, here's an example of some typical watches. This is a Omega, a Seiko, a Tissot, a Tag Heuer, a Breitling, and a Tudor. They're not crummy watches, but and all of these, by the way, I just went to Joma's shop and took a look at these and thought, well, what would be an interesting ones to include? And and looking at these, and then the other one, I thought, well, what would I rather have? This Vacheron Constantin Patrimony and gold, or maybe something like a Royal Oak or something like that, that would be probably cost the sum total of all of these other watches. I don't know what that added up to. Let me take a quick look. It's about seven. That's about 10,000, just of a bunch of watches. And one of the things I didn't do intentionally, but it turned out that way, is that all of the watches, the less expensive watches, have metal bracelets, and they're more sort of a sporty kind of look. And so I guess again, the question was, well, what would you rather have? Something like that, or something else? Oh, anyway, so that's sort of like in building it. Now, I find myself taking what you might say called detours. For example, I got this big thing about the Jacquet 736 movement and started collecting those, and they were relatively inexpensive. Um, and then I'd go back and forth. I'd run into a really good deal, for example, on the uh, Urban Jurgensen. I got it. It was almost at half price, brand new. Some of my early H. Moser's, brand new, great prices and things like that. So it was sort of like trying to figure out. Then the two FP horns I got, um, they were expensive, but nothing like they are today. And so it was sort of like, I don't know. Which ones I really enjoy. I have on my Larique Etude number one, which is a bunch of us got together, and we sort of wanted to have a really great watch at something we could afford, and I think we've achieved it. We're trying to finish up our second one now, big challenge, and we've started our third one, and they're collecting guys who are interested in the fourth one. So that was an attempt to try to get these high level watches, but at an affordable price. So, anyways, so that's sort of an ongoing thing. Okay, let's see what you got. Oh, you got a lot to say. Um, Okie doke. When I build my collection, I wasn't building a collection. I would just evolve into it. Yeah, I think, Felix, I think a lot of us do that. You're just sort of wandering around, and then you start thinking about, you know, find out that, oh boy, here's a really good watch. This is a funny thing. I was been looking at this Daniel Roth GMT, gold GMT. I think, man, oh man, oh man, I'm broke, watch broke right now. And so if I wanted it, I couldn't afford it, and I do want it. So I just have to wait until I have enough so, I can afford it. But in the meantime, about the only thing I like my collection. I like all the watches I'm wearing. I like to wear all the different watches. I like working on the projects with Larique and doing different things like that. And the but still, there's some really nice watches out there that I want, and I'm always looking for a sort of a way to, you know, find it somehow, sort of squirrel my way into it. Most recently was the Ovale. That just was happened to mention to the guy, well, if you ever get one for this price, let me know. And he did. He said, here you go. And that was that. So sometimes I wasn't really expecting to get it, and I've been looking at the prices of those things ever since I got mine, and they always were expensive, and they still are. So I don't know. It's the same thing with my. I got Parmigiani Luna. Boy, that thing was another one of those watches that the price just went way down because they started this whole new line of watches, so it was discontinued. That's another favorite hunting ground. But I guess we're all trying to do the same thing, is that finding the highest quality possible at a price that we can afford. Mistakes are those watches that never leave the vault. Yeah. Yeah, I just got all of my watches back from the vault, and believe me, I was really glad. I don't like doing it because it's such a hassle and doing all of this stuff and getting your watches back. But I sure had a good time because I didn't have to worry about it. That's here's my if you take a trip, take your watches, put them in your very best watches, and put them in a safety deposit box. That's my advice. I like that better than insurance, because insurance companies, let's say, if I had insured my FP Jornet I got for, I think, around 27, and now these things are over 200,000. Well, if I had insured it, I wouldn't have anywhere near getting back what I could sell the watch for. And so I feel better by putting it into a bank vault. So there. Hey, Dominic, how you doing? Good to see you. JB, similar philosophy to why you choose a single watch. What does it mean to you, emotionally representing functions, human biological stories, fashion, and so forth? Yeah, I always like a watch with a good story is always important. Some this some stories are sort of like they're almost adventures in angst sometimes. Tuna. Instant gratification can soon equal 100 watches that you rarely, if ever, wear. Yeah, that's I've got a case over here, a little 6-watch case where I now put my 736s and other watches I happen to get. For example, I got the paid $200 for a brand new perpetual, what's that called? Perpetual um, regulator, for a perpetual regulator from this guy in Hong Kong. Love the watch. Checked off my regulator thing. But the thing of it is that in the meantime too, one thing I really enjoy doing is buying a bunch of parts from AliExpress and then making my own watches. Um, that's a lot of fun. And there's no time limit. I've got a couple of watches I'm working on now, and just sort of like when I feel like it, I'll go and work on a somewhat. Hi, ABNS 92, Michael. How are you? At some point in our collection, we go from sports watches to higher complications and more formal. Um, Does that make it a geezer watch? Yeah, I don't know. I got uh I age is a funny thing. I know about age. I am one. Join the octogenarians. Um it's I think at any point in time you like what you like. I still like those blasted dandies. I'm so tempted to get a dandy, Chaumet dandy. I have the dandy Artie, um, with the almost impossible crown and so forth, but it's got those two Agones gears in it, and it's just sort of like one of those watches. The other day, I took it out and just was like, "Wow, this is an amazing watch." Even though the movement was the ETA and I didn't pay that much for it, that's another thing too. When I say I didn't pay that much for it, you pay a couple $1,000 for a watch and say, that's not bad. That's a lot of money. In any other kind of thing, You sit down and plan it and save for it, a couple $1,000. Oh, hey, that's a bargain on a watch. That's insane. I plan on selling all my watches and buying one of Grail watches soon. Not which on what watch yet. Oh, not on what watch yet. You know, um, if the watches that I'm just not wearing are the ones I've been selling or trying to sell. Um, but other ones I keep sort of despite everything, like my 736 collection. I gave one to a friend, but the rest of them, I sort of like those watches. I don't know. Hi, Clyde Mills. I started out collecting about 12 years ago and did well for a couple years. Then, for some reason, I went off the rails, and now I have way too many pieces I don't want. Yeah, that I don't wear. Yeah, that happens. I think to happen to me too. You see something and you sort of, wow, I want to have that. What I tried to do is to try to have a rule that no more than two of the same brand. And then that Ovale, that was my third Parmigiani. And then the Loon was my fourth Parmigiani. So I have that with the Hemisphere and then the Culpa. What I did with a friend who's starting his collection, I gave him the Culpa, and it needed service, and so I said, "Oh, you can have it. You pay for the service, and it's yours." And I think that was a good idea. Yeah, that's another one. HR Longines watches, especially some of the older ones, are really, really special watches. They're good watches. They really, I mean, for a pure mechanical watch, love them. I wear two Hamilton khaki chronograph. Okay, one Steinhardt diver, one Hulk homage, one Omega. I'm a happy camper. Well, from I tell you what, Nikon FM. Whatever makes you happy. I have, if you live in Miami, my God, the place is swimming in watches. Sort of a un unexpected watch, one of the watch capitals in the US. Lots to choose from down there. Problem is the money runs out. Yeah, that happened to me. All my watch money ran out. So, somebody soon as that distracted driver turned right into my car, wrecked my car. So I guess, wow. So I had to take all my savings or a big hunk of it and get my car replaced. So anyway, so now I have a car that's almost expensive as some of my watches. That's crazy. Dominic, uh, good to secure in the bank vault. Yeah, Archie had a big loss leaving his collection at home when he came to the U.S., and he had a pretty serious safe. Oh wow! Did wow? Somebody broke it. This is something. I got one of those safes. The safe I got looks exactly like a hotel safe. I know a guy who was telling me he had an Audemars Piguet in a hotel safe, and they somebody came and took it. And of course, a hotel, oh, gee, how did that ever happen? And yeah, you gotta. It just, I just, I'll put it this way: I trust the bank a little more than I do with the insurance company. Also, too, some of these watches, those ovales are hard to find. and, they when I and especially, excuse me, find one that's affordable. So, if the insurance company can't replace something that's not replaceable or hard to replace, and so, yeah, I like the old vault. But my hotel, I had this big heavy one, and when I ordered it, the guy delivered it, and he put it on a dolly and wheeled it down. I thought, "My god, this guy can put it on a dolly. He could if I had all my watches in there, it would make it very convenient. They'd come in, put the safe on a dolly, and take all of my watches." So, I still have my safe. I think what I ought to probably do is put all my important papers in there and, in case of fire or something. I don't know. Yeah, Dominic. Yeah, I tell you, it was one of those watches I really, really liked. I really liked it a lot, but, my friend, just, he it was something that I think he'd appreciate, and he started off but the thing is about 1,100 bucks to get it fixed, so sort of like getting almost a brand new watch. The funny thing was, it was one of my few. I only have 2 watches with, metal bracelets. That was one of them. So now I have 1, and that's the Ming that I put on my, Moritz Grossmann. Oh, you're wearing your dandy arty right now. I feel like a kid watching the Ferris wheel. Oh god, yeah, that's such a um, who was I talking? Oh, I know who I was talking to about that watch. Um, when I was in, Geneva, I met this guy at a party, that Agenor had, and, he's a reporter, watch reporter, I guess, for the New York Times. And so we got to talking. I told him what we were doing with Larique. And so uh, about, what was it, about a week ago, I guess, we had a video call, and one of the ones that he found really interesting, I told him about my 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 dandy arty open face with the Paris Ferris wheel, just and with the 2 big Agonais gears in it. And it was, oh wow. That was it's such an interesting watch. I mean, and with patent leather straps. Love that though watch. Yeah, ABNS. Personally, it's a manual exercise before every purchase, a mental exercise. Uh, you know, Aben's 92. Yeah, I agree with you, but somehow my mind and all the mental rational things leave. "Oh, we're out of here. You can go buy the watch." You're right, though. I try to figure things out. Yeah, yeah, I know. The problem is this may sound weird, but it's a funny problem. The better I get at choosing watches means that I have more watches that I wanna wear all the time, I absolutely do right now. I, it just like and then some watches, this was the one I bought on the spur of the moment, wasn't thinking one way or the other, was my, Fabergé Alexi. That Fabergé Alexi I got for a song, white gold, brand new, Frederic Piguet movement. Yum, 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 yum. You know, uh, but it had a solid case back, which I'm not crazy about. It was an automatic, which I'm not crazy about. But boy, do I like that watch. I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure it out. I got a Python, red and black Python strap from ABP Concepts Paris. It would just go tooling around in my Fabergé. Love that watch. That's a brand too that you might, if you look around, they have some watches out there, and if you sort of look in a lot of nooks and crannies, I think you might be able to find some deals. What happened after I got that Alexi, they disappeared and then the price went up. So if you have something, I don't know. The same thing with that Moritz Grossman. Nobody offers 6,000 for a Grossman where they start at 30,000, and just one of those flukes that you're not expecting to get. I mean, what are we supposed to do? We're poor little watch collectors. God, I tell you, man, I think, sometimes you look, I say, I must be just a number one jerk going out and getting these watches, but I sure enjoy it. Hamilton does some nice dress everyday watches. Hamilton has, I think, a jazz series. I like those. They've got a lot of really interesting ones. Watch Monkey, variety is the spice of watch collection. Indeed. Indeed it is. Archie got robbed. It was poor Archie. What he does, he charges for watch reviews, and then he doesn't do exactly what I would call an optimum job of doing a review. But I guess somebody has my review. My watch was reviewed by Archie. Oh boy, I don't know who I get a kick out of that. Good for Archie. He was. I tell you, I got a soft spot for Archie because when I first started collecting, and he was in. Well, not the first, but once I discovered online watch channels, he was one of the first, and he was doing some really interesting stuff back then. Also, too, there were some other interesting ones they used to have. Federico and somebody else, the urban guy, Urban Gentry, they'd sit down and they'd talk together. But then I found out later there was all of this conflict going on, like, rah, rah. So they quit doing. That's too bad. Okay, sorry. A burglary rated safe need to be bolted down to floor, I think, over 250 pounds. Yeah, I agree, Dominic. It would be so much easier just to take all my watches and put them in a safe. Um, it's really funny. We live in an area with a very low crime rate. I mean, people don't break into houses here. Um, it's sort of sub-rural, or sort of not totally rural, but not suburban. So it's sort of sub-rural, and we got bears and critters, and it's sort of one of those areas where people sort of know each other, or they sort of nodding acquaintance. You see somebody in the neighborhood who quote doesn't belong. It's just not like people. I don't want to go there. The bear going to eat me, something. And then there's some kind of gun club about a mile up the road. Oh yeah, that's a great place to go. And one of the things when I was studying criminology in Europe a long time ago, I was at the University of Leiden, and I was on a train between Den Haag and back to Leiden, and I was with this Dutch criminologist, and we were talking about this, that, and the other thing, and I asked him about the low crime rate they had especially compared to the United States. And one of the things he said, we went by these projects because there's a lot of high density projects there because so much land has been reclaimed from the sea, and so you have a lot of these things. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and there were these high and low rises all together. And he said, "See that?" And I said, "Yeah." He said that one of our ministers lives there, and so you have people with pretty well off, and then other people who are pretty average off. And so there was a lot of that kind of integration. that is very much where I live right now. We have a lot of we just have every butcher, baker, candlestick maker, and all get along beautifully on the block. So I don't know. Oh boy. Is the New York Times reporter writing an article about your collection? I don't know. We'll have to see, Michael. He just asked a whole bunch of questions about different things. I think one of the things really was interested in is what we're doing with Larique. We'll find out. I just pretty much told him about what we've been doing and sent him some pictures of our watches and some of the projects. The other thing I told him about was how we got started years ago. A bunch of us passed around Rolf Lang's watch, and so it was something that I don't know why it seemed like an impossible task at the time just to make sure nothing happened to it, and we ended up took us 13 weeks instead of 12. We sort of stepped into the pandemic and we were finished, and somebody bought the watch from Rolf. And so that was sort of and because he wanted to know how we started, how we got together, and so on and so forth. So, Michael, yeah, to answer your question, I think it's not about me, it's more about Larique, I think. Hi, Neezer. Okay. Porcelain ones like Chinese halcyon. Okay, so that's another yeah, you can have, Benjamin Chi has been doing a lot of really interesting things with cloche-may. I think I probably said it wrong. It's a type of enameling. So yeah, there's I can see that. Fabergé, Van Cleef and Arpels, and Bulgari all have yeah, they do exactly HRM. Those all three of those are great places to look. By the way, when I was at the uh, Grand Prix Awards, the place was just packed. I couldn't believe it. It was like so. We were having a hard time finding seats, and so we ended up where we probably shouldn't have been, and that was with the Van Cleef and Arpels, and so they won 3 awards, and so they were cheering away there. One of the things I did encounter that you sort of don't see on these kinds of discussions and so forth. There were a lot of corporate types there from the different, watch companies, and probably from Swatch and from uh, Richemont. So they were there. They're part of this also. I don't think of it too much. Hey, ranchers. Okay, it's almost. Oops, it is time for me to go. Well, let me finish up these. Archie's showing where he kept the watches. I think he should be more conscious. I think so too. Yeah, you want to see where I keep my watches? I'll show you a picture of my bank. Hi, one clip looking like Felix the cat. Smoko, I am working on my exit collection. When I am finished in about a year, I might get an Archie collection review for kicks and giggles. Yeah, the thing is that he wants to be paid for it, then he doesn't do it, but okay. Oh boy, Federico, uh, Christian and the urban gentry on the same couch. Yeah, remember that? Yeah, later. Um, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that Bruce did the thing with the punters. Hey, Damon, I am now much more discerning over the watches, but I bought, but buy it has resulted in a much higher price ranges. Yeah, that'll happen. One of the things is really the most fun part is discovering things before sort of there's been a change. One of the most interesting statistics I saw recently was they were showing these bar charts with all of the watch sales and so forth. And what was interesting, they showed Swatch way down. So, I mean, seriously way down. And I was trying to figure out, but I mean, a lot of the companies they own, like Blank Pawn and Omega and some of the other ones, are doing fine. But the Swatch watches themselves are really going down. And the reason I think those are the ones, excuse me, most affected by the smartwatch. I mean, somebody goes out and get an Apple Watch, and you can put everything in the world on it that you want. Anyway, well, I'm over time. Thank you, Rancher, for letting me know, because I like talking to you guys more than anything. So this afternoon at 4:00, I will beg Rancher to come up help me with a new topic, and hope to see you then. Take care.